Coaches, if you are stuck with your rugby sessions, this video is for you. So today I will take you through how to develop creative rugby sessions. And I'll share 4 principles that I believe would help you to develop adaptable problem solvers. So let's jump straight into this video. Here we go, coaches. Principle number 1, be objective driven. Have a clear understanding of what you want to get out of your session, whether it's a tactical or a skill or a mindset objective that you need to get out of that session. Always start with the objective, then you can work back from whatever that particular thing is that you need to get out of the session. Now, this will help you to be really intentional with the key things and key elements that you want to highlight within that particular session. I always use the win analogy. What's important right now? So clear on your objective and then use that objective to drive you throughout the session. Principle number 2, preparation versus planning. Now, this is always an interesting concept. How do you prepare for the session and how do you plan? So I always use the preparation method. I'm a big believer in to prepare intentionally for that particular session versus having a prescriptive plan. So if I'm prepared, I can be flexible because remember, I have my objective. I'm clear on what my objective is. Now I can prepare myself differently within the session or differently with how the session is going to flow. And I don't have to necessarily be prescribed of how I need to go from minute 1 all the way through the session. Sometimes we get caught up that we have to tick all these little things on. Just be flexible within the session. Let the session drive you. Go with the feel. So sometimes you have to stay longer on sometimes. Other times players get it quickly, real quick, so you don't have to spend too much time in that particular moment and then you can move on to the next thing. But we have to be flexible within sessions. Let the session flow and understand every single moment within the session where you don't have to get caught up with the time, because time always puts unnecessary pressure on us. Clear on your objective, clear on where you need to go, and then let the session drive you so you can flow. That way you'll have a little bit more flexibility to take, to add, to move. Or sometimes it just means you have to stay on the one thing for the duration of the session. So always the key is to prepare for the session versus to have a prescriptive plan. So clear on your framework on how you want to do it, and then just be flexible. Don't be too uncomfortable within those moments. So principle number 2, preparation versus planning. Prepare yourself well enough so you can just amend and adapt where you need to be. And as we go into the 3rd principle, this is a really exciting principle for me. Coach the game. Now, there's a couple of key things we need to really get right within this particular principle. Sometimes as coaches, we all do this. We get caught up with the game on the TV. So I always go for your game versus the TV game. So what I mean by the TV game, we want to learn from what's happening at the highest possible level. So we want to learn this. So it's really important for us as coaches is to learn from the current trends, the new trends, how the game is evolving. However, it's more important to stay focused on what's happening in your game. So for instance, if you're coaching in the minis, in the juniors, in the colts, whatever, in the male game, in the female game, 7s, 15s, whatever it might be, you have to stay present within your game. So that's the first thing. So you have to take from your game to be able to further develop the players and the people that you coach. So don't copy and paste the TV game. Although the TV game will give us some key things, we can amend and adapt for what we see in the moment, what's happening with our team. And then the next important stuff here is when you design games, remember we said if we're clear on our our objective, and then we've got some tactical, let's say we've got some tactical solutions that we need to uncover within that session. So you need to play a tactical game. I always say put names on it, put a name on a game. That way the players know what's going to happen. Then you can, with that game, players know what's going to happen, so it reduces the information time you're sharing with the players. So you use that game to give a tactical scenario. You can add points, you can add various levels to it, you can assign missions to team, whether it's an attacking mission or a tactical mission, whether it's a mission for the halfbacks to go and manage their teams, for instance. So these are all ways of how we can develop creative sessions as we grow. So we add points, we add levels, we add missions to whatever we're trying to do. We can give tactical and skill challenges. We can assign, remember what we said, when we prepare our session, we can be really intentional. So we can assign tactical and skill challenges to individual players, or we can do it to sub-units within the team to really challenge them. And now our players have to think differently. And remember, the big theme is how do we develop creative sessions? So we want our players to think differently about the game, because that's where we develop adaptable problem solvers in the moment. And then get flow loops. I talk about flow loops within your session. So flow from games to skills to drills to system, whatever it might be. Flow between all these different things. The cool thing about coaching is there's no right and there's no wrong. It is always about best practice for your team and how you're going to make that team, those individuals within that team, better. So really important there, like I highlighted, the most important thing here when we coach the game, remember, we have to coach our game and we learn from what the game on the TV is suggesting with the new trends, the evolution of the game, etc. But don't forget, you have to coach the people in front of you. And this is the area where you can be really exciting to add a little bit of spark to your sessions, to really ignite your players. And then the fourth and last principle, variability is key. It's really key and important. Now, the one thing that I always see is coaches always try and be too creative sometimes, or feel like they have to be creative. Everyone, all of us, every single one has creative potential within us. We just have to dig a little bit deeper. Now, with this, to make it really simple for you, this is what I always do as a coach. I learn from the players. I use the players to give me information. That information is going to help me design better sessions. So whether it's hot feedback or whether I ask players what they think, how did they feel, what did they think from that particular part? Oh, I like that, I didn't like that. So we can use that information to help us with our preparation for our sessions as we progress on. Really important thing here, coaches, is you have to reflect on your sessions. So you have to sit back and go, what did I think there? Did that session work? Was it important? What did I miss? Was I intentional enough? Did I ask really good questions? Did I present the appropriate message to my team? Did my body language match the message I was verbally given? So you gotta ask all those simple little questions within your sessions, and that's gonna give you some really cool information to be able to keep you on your toes, to be better and better for every single session you develop, especially as the season progresses. As the season progresses, it sometimes gets harder and harder to come up with sessions. Now, the key thing is it doesn't have to be completely different. Like we said, when we coach the game, just add a level, add a layer, add a different skill. Think about the starting positions of a game. So maybe you start with a skill starter. So for instance, it could just be a one-on-one, or sometimes what I do, I've had two players having a pass off. Whoever gives the best pass or the most accurate pass, that team gets the ball. So small little subtle things you can add within your practice to really keep the players engaged and capture their attention. And then also, I like to go to other sports. I like to go and learn and steal ideas. Like I've got one of my favorite rugby games that I've stolen from Brazilian futsal. Watching the guys playing in the backyard futsal, and I steal some really cool ideas that I can implement into rugby, and I build my own game from there. So look at the other sports. They present some really cool stuff that you can transfer into rugby, especially the evasion sports that's out there. So use them to your advantage. Coaches, there you go. You've got 4 really simple principles that you can really delve deep into. Be objective driven. Prepare versus plan. Over prepare versus over plan. That's always my philosophy. Coach the game. Remember, your game, not the game on the TV. Just learn from there, because we all coach at different levels and different abilities and different people in front of us. And then the 4th and the last thing is variability is key. Add some variety into your session. Spice it up, but it will only be spiced up if you can start reflecting on your own performance, engage with the players to learn a little bit more. There you go, coaches. Use those principles to your advantage and go and smash your next session. As always, subscribe here to the Rugby Creative channel for more coaching ideas.